So handling cases in juvenile court can have a lot of factors that are looked at. There are generally two types of cases beyond kind of the care and protection cases for adults, but two types of cases with adolescents or children that you see in juvenile court. One of them is, it's called a delinquency, which is similar to like a quote, criminal case that a child might be charged with. And it's similar to adult court in terms of they're entitled to a jury trial. The Commonwealth's got to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt. The child's presumed to be innocent. But there's a lot more of what the courts kind of consider almost kind of a parental impact by the judge. And sometimes even in the best of intention of a judge, they'll get rid of some of the children's due process by not giving them the same protections that an adult might have in an adult court. And it can be a good thing because sometimes you can get a diversion or get cases resolved without having a guilty or what's in juvenile court considered a delinquency. But other times the courts are looking for the children to have a court clinic eval or have things that might not really be that applicable to their situation. Never mind if they haven't done what had occurred. It's important to be able to understand the particular due process rights that children have in juvenile court and the different ways that the cases can get approached, whether it's negotiating the case, trying to get the case dismissed based on lack of probable cause to go into trial. Also very important to be able to present to the prosecutor or somebody from the DA's office and or the judge or probation officer a little bit about the child and about the family, and finding out stuff, getting school records or finding what the child's activities are or interests are, really make a bigger difference than an adult court where you can really show a lot more about the child and about why either the case should get dismissed or that the charges should get reduced or that the child get diversion, which means that they won't even get it on their record, but they might have to do some community service and some other conditions or pretrial probation or something short of a guilty or delinquency. It's also important to understand the juvenile court's a closed court, but some things still show up on people's records to a certain degree. The different viewpoints in terms of what judges or lawyers tell people and can go over depending on what the disposition, whether that shows up on the record and how that shows up on the record and how that can impact somebody in the future. There's also in juvenile court something called CRAs, which is child requiring assistance, that are used to be called a CHINS case. And those aren't crimes. They're not an allegation that a crime occurred, but it's an allegation that there's issues going on with the child, whether it's being problems in school, habitual school offender, or running away from the home, or missing a lot of school, being truant, or being disobedient, so-called disobedient to a parent. They're also, it's kind of a hybrid. It's definitely not a criminal case, but there's a situation where a child can be removed from the home and placed potentially in DCF care or DCF custody. It's important to recognize the different ways to approach that, to approach the CRAs, and to determine whether or not you want to stipulate to the CRA or contest it, or again being able to present. The more that you're able to control the situation as a parent and being able to get the things put in place to resolve it without having the need for either DCF or the court, the better. And there are ways that if you talk to an attorney that's well versed in juvenile law, that they're able to help you go through those different areas.